Consumers begin to hit breaking point. We've got a lot of economic, financial news to get caught up on here today. Let's go ahead and get started. This first article comes out of Bloomberg. American consumers are starting to hit their breaking point. And it goes through all of the well-known price increases that we've been documenting here for a very long time. But also look at the consumer sentiment now is the lowest since 2011. So more than a 10-year low. And I think a lot of people are out there wondering, where does this end? How does this end? What is going to reverse this? And people now, more people in general, are starting to ask the questions that we've been asking here for a long time. Where does this end? What is going to stop this situation? Well, there's only fuel being thrown on the fire right now, and you're going to see things get a lot worse and a lot more expensive here. And we're going to talk about the spending bill and more here in just a few minutes. But also out of this article, it gives us a chart, and something that we looked at also a few weeks ago on this channel is the personal savings rate is now dipped to more than a 5-year low. And if we look to the far right of this chart here, we can see where we're at as of today. If we go back to 2000, we saw the big spike. These rescue programs and savings spiked up when we had the cancel rents, when we had the foreclosure moratoriums, people's utility bills in some locations got canceled. Student loan payments got canceled. Credit card companies canceled late fees. Banks canceled overdraft fees in some cases. Some banks actually kept the vow not to charge overdraft fees. Also, currently, some cities are still participating in the eviction protections. So here we are, and savings rate is now below where it was when we started this whole mess, and we still haven't exited the rescue programs. How much worse is it going to be when the rescue programs are completely finished? Or are the rescue programs just going to come right back? We talked just a couple reports ago about how we're likely going to see gas stimulus checks. So we're likely going to see a lot more rescue programs come out here. As mortgage rates continue to rise, how many people are going to be able to continue to make their bloated mortgage payment combined with higher property taxes because their home values are now so high, combined with the cost of trying to pay just to maintain their home, the cost of maintenance, upkeep, insurance, utilities, those energy bills are skyrocketing. And speaking of energy bills, let's take a look at some commodities, including heating oil. And this is pretty jaw-dropping. Let's take a look at heating oil, another chart here. Let's go to a long-term chart. Let's go to the 25-year. And we see that we're spiking near an all-time high. The highest was back in 2008, right before the financial crisis hit us back at the end of 2008, beginning of 2009. I remember back then we saw a huge spike in oil and therefore gas prices as well. Will this be the same thing? Will all the things that we're seeing right now come to an end, or at least a lot of the things come to an end, and we're going to see a huge drop in oil like we did back then? So take a look. It was about $3.80 for heating oil, and it dropped all the way down to $1.27. Is it a good time to short the market? Maybe short oil and gas ETF? Please let me know down in comments if you're going to be investing in this, if you see an investment opportunity, because where there is volatility, there is money-making opportunity. But we're in a whole different world here. There could be inflation that just does not stop, and that's a really scary thing. The dollar could be in its last days. Let's take a look at another one. This is the price of wheat. And similar, we see 2008, the huge spike. And just like we see now, the huge spike. Normally, when you see something spike up, this fast and this steep, there is a correction shortly afterward. So again, I ask you, are we in a whole new paradigm where prices are just going to continue to go higher? Or is this history repeating itself? All this is going to blow over and we're going to see a massive crash or correction. And if these prices do not stop rising, what will be the breaking point for most people? Well, back to that Bloomberg article, consumers are now starting to break. You see the consumer sentiment drop to over a 10-year low. So people's household budgets are squeezed and a lot of people are in big trouble with what's happening right now. Recent article here out of the Wall Street Journal, e-scooters are having a huge spike in demand. People that live in cities are now using their scooters to go to their jobs because they can't afford gas. And they're even taking their dogs with them in some cases. My question is, where do you put groceries at on this thing? Anyways, the scooters, mostly for people who live in cities. Obviously, you're not going to see this going down I-95. At least I hope not. And maybe we'll see that on a ridiculousness video or something like that. But the people that moved out to the smaller cities, out to the country to try to afford more home and get out of the city, they're really hurting now with these gas prices. So yes, you saved a few dollars on your home by going way out in the country, but if you have to commute to the city now, you are hurting. And good luck taking the scooter again down the freeway to get to your job in the city. Now let's talk about this 2,800 page, $1.5 trillion omnibus spending bill, and look at some of the outrageous categories in this spending this bill pays for. And we'll just go down the list here and pick out a few different categories here. And we see a lot of this money being sent overseas. We see a lot of officials are going to get some pretty big payouts in this here. 54 million for the Secretary of Agriculture, 27 million for the Office of the Chief Economist. Probably somebody that's been wrong about the economy, but yet they still get 27 million appropriated to their cause. Money being thrown at all these different agencies. We have to ask ourselves, with all these different agencies and programs and offices, what is the purpose if we're still seeing what we're seeing now in the economy? Have any of these offices really helped anybody? 4.3 million for the Office of Ethics, on and on and on. Here's one right here, 3.5 billion for guaranteed farm ownership loans. So they're not just giving the money to the farms, it's money for loans that the farmers will have to pay back. We look down here, another 2.8 billion for another type of farm loan. So it's basically printing money, going further into debt so they can give out loans so they could charge the farmers interest on these loans. Charge them interest on money that they borrowed, which was created out of thin air. Just think about that for a few minutes. Here's a good one right here. We put this in bold. 60 million for boll weevil eradication program loans. Boll weevil eradication programs. Here's another one. 1.6 billion for the U.S. Marshals salaries and expenses. Looks like everybody's salaries are going up except for the people that aren't directly paid out from this bill. I've got the FBI, the DEA, the ATF. We've got billions upon billions going to NASA for different programs. Space exploration. Here is $5.4 billion for IRS enforcement so they can come after us for money that we try to make to survive. Folks, this thing is a monstrosity. Let's just go ahead and start from the top here and scroll down through all of this. another $1.5 trillion, and tell you some people that work in the system right now that are laughing all the way to the bank. But the average U.S. person, they're not laughing when they go to the grocery store, when they have to fill up their tank, when they have to pay their rent, when they have to pay their mortgage. It's looking pretty sad, folks. The people that are going to benefit from this the most are the people that are already in the top 10% working for a lot of these agencies and working within the system, if you know what I mean. Going to wrap this one up. Thanks for being here. Stay well, stay safe. Keep stacking, everybody. Bye for now.